time and long nights. The right kid, the right place, the wrong time. Give me that drone shot from up in the sky, of a small town splinter in the storm's eye. We ain't nothing but dark kids. Dark kids. We ain't nothing but dark kids. We ain't nothing but dark kids. Dark kids. Dark kids.
Welcome back, Dockheads. It's another week, another documentary. That's what we do. That's the whole show. Every week, a new documentary, a new cast, slight modification based off the reviews of last episode. At Savvy Thing, Savannah Martin is going to stay on the show with me and Bauer. So congratulations,
Nice
Savannah.
work.
Thank you.
You know what? Thank you for blessing us with your presence. That's really, I think
Yeah.
the decision was not on our side. It was on her side, whether she wanted to do this with us, and she did.
We had already unanimously voted you off, actually. And then
It was-
we were like,
It was the most I could do for your life. You're welcome. I'm glad I could really enhance your lives.
no problem.
You do. How was your week, Todd? Did you do anything cool this week?
Bought a truck. Yeah, get rid of my car. Got my Grand Cherokee and got a truck. So I'm in the process of getting
how long did you own that Grand Cherokee?
5 weeks, almost 5 weeks,
Okay,
and I was
yeah,
like, this is not the vehicle for me. I have this sick thing in my head that when I see a lot of other vehicles that look just like mine on the road, can't have it. I need to look different, and it's just one of those things.
But you bought a black truck.
Yeah. But it's different.
I have a feeling 5 weeks from now he's going to see 7 black F-150s and he's going to trade that in for something. I wanted to get the Cobra Kai car, the Charger that they painted yellow with the snakes on it is what I wanted. But,
I would kill for
the
that
black
car.
truck. Well, you could get it.
I probably could. I'm going to shave my face and send a picture to the guy, Johnny, and say, look, dude, I am your doppelganger. Fucking hook me up with a doppelganger car, one that looks just like your car, and I'll drive around, and it'll look like you're at 2 different places in the country at the same time, at all times.
Maybe you could be a stunt double. Are you any good at karate?
Yeah, I could do karate. I mean, I'm going to pull a hammy for sure. I know karate, but can I still do karate? Probably not.
Todd, you're 49. You're going to break a hip.
No, exactly. He's 50, but he's from L.A. People in L.A. stay in shape.
And you haven't.
Yeah, we do.
Except for Bowers.
Hey!
Well, you're not from L.A. You're in L.A.
Yeah, I'm the person that moved to LA and gained weight. How's that happen? Well, I just moved to Hollywood. That's my week. I just moved to Hollywood, which is awesome. So we decided to move on Monday. We signed a lease Monday afternoon, and we moved Thursday. So
it happens quick over there.
We just pulled the trigger. Apartment 420, which we're excited about. So there you go.
Oh, nice. Wow. Can't beat that.
The most Bowers thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right. That's really the only reason we pulled the trigger. We're just like, wait, it's what number? Oh, yeah, we're in. Okay,
it's
let's
God
do it.
speaking to you. I mean, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You have to pull the trigger when that happens. Same way when I bought the truck, I was buying a Toyota 4Runner. Actually, I bought it. Made the deal. Okay, it's good. That's the payment I want. And they were like, oh, hang on. It looks like it's going to take until Monday for us to get the financing through. And I was like, okay, no problem. I'll see you Monday. And immediately when I got out the door, I was like, this is God telling me not to buy this 4Runner and to drive every single dealership in the city to find what I'm supposed to buy. And boom, there was the truck. So, yeah. Savannah, your week, you got a new couch in your new apartment since you moved to Pittsburgh?
I did. I got a new couch. I'm very excited about it. It's very firm. I've officially lost 17 pounds since March, so that was very exciting.
Look at you.
I know.
I've lost 19 pounds since September 2nd, but hey, you're way smaller than me, so you don't have much to lose. So it's more impressive.
Thank you for showing me up on my one thing I had this week, Bowers. I'm so proud of it.
No, you look great. Actually, you losing 17 pounds is if I lost 100 pounds. That's the you know you look.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I worked
gained
really
8
hard.
pounds. I gained 8 pounds in the last week and a half. So.
We can tell. We weren't going to say anything.
So I'm wearing this sweatshirt right now. And Savannah, do you have any plans to buy a new television at all for your apartment?
I do not. I have a 32-inch television that works just fine.
Disgusting.
32-inch television.
How do you even watch a 32-inch television?
Can you even see the documentaries on a 30-inch television?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Do you stand right next to it?
I have a very small apartment.
Oh, whatever. It doesn't
watch
matter.
it with binoculars, I think.
It works.
Whatever. That's disgusting.
You guys are welcome to buy me whatever TV that you want to buy me. I'll
The
take
listeners. We give this show another 3 weeks, a listener will buy you a TV. Guaranteed. All right. So let's get into the documentary for this week. The documentary is Long Shot, available now on Netflix. Here's the description. When Juan Catalan is arrested for a murder he didn't commit, he builds his case for innocence around raw footage from a popular TV show. First of all, round the horn, what did we think about this documentary?
So I was very excited to watch this one, and I don't know how much Todd and I have talked about this, but I know Bowers and I have. I haven't cried in like over a year. Tears haven't fallen from my eyes in over a year, and this documentary almost got me.
Really?
I was very close.
The reveal, Chrissy and I were watching together, and she's like, oh my God, I have goosebumps. I'm like, look at my arm. My arm had goosebumps. I teared up a bit.
I teared up.
Really well done. It's when the reveal happens, which is great in a 40-minute documentary. They didn't have to spend an hour and a half doing other shit we didn't care about.
Yeah.
It was in, it was out, it was perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, and then in my own experience, people would shit on you if you said I'm only going to make a 40-minute documentary. This was awesome. I mean, everything that you'd want to happen happened, and happened at a fast pace, and it was still a roller coaster of emotions through it. They just didn't have all that filler. Every hour and a half long documentary, usually, is a 40-minute documentary.
Right.
Yep.
Filled with bullshit in between the awesome moments, just to be a 90-minute documentary. So
I honestly
good for
feel
them.
that same way about most books. Tale of Two Cities doesn't need to be that goddamn long. That's just bragging, right? It's just like fucking write a short story, bro. Tell me that you don't need. I don't need all this description of shit.
That's how I feel about the Bible.
It should be the 10 Commandments, and then with the three paragraphs of what Jesus said, and that should be it. Right? I guess.
Just tell me what I'm supposed to do and not supposed to do. It's really all I need.
I don't know. I don't care who begat who, and then he begat him, and he begat. At Christmas, every so often they'll have the begat one where you're like, really? Christmas Eve, we got to hear who begat who? I don't even know who was fucking in the Bible. That's crazy.
Begat yourself. That's what I say. It's too long. I'm not never going to read it. I can tell by the thickness. I'm never going to read it. Thanks. You just ruined religion for me.
This documentary had 2 of the 3 things that I care about in life.
What's that?
Which is children's well-being and prison system reform.
Ooh.
What's the third
nice.
thing? Orgasms?
All right, so I have 4 things in life that I care about. But yeah. It's a good one.
And one of those you can accomplish all by yourself. So prison reform's got to be your favorite. Let's see. Then a shot. We begin this documentary with a shot of, and it's kind of terrifying almost. You just see Juan sitting at his arraignment, being read his charges. And you can see on his face, like, this dude is terrified. Now, going into this, he's an innocent dude. Like, that's not hidden from anybody, right? Like,
Right.
He's there, and you see this innocent man just being read his charges. You've been charged with the murder of the 16-year-old girl. Just so you know. That's all arraignment is. It's not, did you do it, did you not do it, or whatever. We're just going to let you know why you're here. And then this is the reason. You just murdered a 16-year-old girl. So now you're going to be in jail until we figure out what court date to give you. And he's got to be shitting his pants. And the next shot is him at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, I think you got to shit your pants more if you didn't do it. Like, if you did it, it's like, oh, okay. But there's probably you're going to justify it. There's a way to fucking play to the jury. Well, it was my fault because I was mad or because I was sad or I was off my meds. If you didn't do it, there's no way to defend yourself other than saying I didn't do it. Like you can't. There's no mitigation really, because then you admit guilt by mitigating, right? If you're like, well, the reason I did it was this, then you're admitted you did it. But you have no defense if you didn't. I mean, there's just nothing you can do other than it wasn't me. And if they're not going to believe you.
Yeah,
you know,
because the fact that you're there being arraigned on charges of murder and you didn't do it very much tells you you could be convicted, because you would never dream that you would be in this position to begin with. So now it's very real that you could be convicted of murder and get the death penalty in this case, or, you know, the best case scenario, life in prison. Much different than if you had done it, because if you did it, you're like, nah, I guess it's just a matter of, you know, if my attorney can get me off or not, you know?
Right.
That's it. So
I think the worst part for me is the fact that I can't imagine what that would be like. Like, there's no part of me that can even pretend that I would know what that would feel like. And so it's really hard and heartbreaking to watch, because you can just see it on his face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, you ever had anybody accuse you of something you didn't do anyway, and it wasn't murder, and it's frustrating as fuck? You're like, dude, I'm just telling you, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. You know, that person's lying or whatever. And it was just over, you called somebody a name or something, or revealed some secret you weren't supposed to.
Fuck their wife. Stuff like that.
Then imagine it's murder. So there's this shot now of Juan at Dodger Stadium, and he tells us that, you know, his oldest brother, Mario, was into breaking into cars when they were teenagers, and Juan was like the getaway driver for the, you know, they'd break in and steal car stereos and whatever, change. And he got arrested for it once as a juvenile, and he was like, I always said, like, this will be my last trip to jail. I'm never going back to jail. And then now he's on a documentary where, you know,
He has to be exonerated.
yeah, because he was arrested from the murder of a 16-year-old girl that he didn't commit. So
The being on the hook for something that you didn't do, or just like doing something, even something you did do, like I already know like what I feel when I do something wrong. That like I can't imagine not doing something wrong and feeling that way. And then when he was talking about the fact that about when he had gone to jail the first time, he wanted that to be his only time. That resonated with me, because I've been hungover one time and that was enough. I have never been hungover a secnd time. That was enough.
Now there might be a second time this weekend, but that's neither here nor there. Todd.
This is the American story, right? You most people get in trouble once early on in life, and then they learn, oh, I'm never going to do that again. Like he's doing exactly what you're supposed to do, but somehow now he's ended up in a fight for his life over a murder he didn't commit. So it's scary as fuck at this point. And this ends up being a documentary that perfectly illustrates how once lazy policemen get their mind set that they don't want to do any more work, we've got our guy and let's just end it here, how they just fucking try to build a case around that, no matter if the pieces fit or not. Like this ends up being a perfect illustration of that. So I end up getting pissed off during this thing. I'm sure you guys did too.
Sure, yeah. But I'm sure for you, because of being a former police. Now, did you ever have a time in your career, Todd, where you like were the cops around you had decided something was real, and you're like, no, this is not. What are you guys doing? We got to look at more people. Did that ever happen?
Yeah, all the time. Like early on, people kind of make their minds up. Now, it didn't get like to this point, you know, but they're like, I think he's a suspect, and I'm like, I don't think he did. I think it was this other person. And then usually I was right, because I'm better at that than most people. But
Sure.
but there was one case that haunted my whole career, and I can't give the details of it because it's ongoing right now. But I was sure I had the guy. And 2 FBI profilers were sure I had the right guy, and tried to get him charged. Luckily for me, the whole case hinged upon DNA, which didn't match, so there was nothing I could do about it, even though I still thought it was the guy. And the whole time, this guy was like, oh, it was a copycat. I was famous. This is a copycat. And I'm like, you're not famous. Shut the fuck up. It's not a copycat. But I couldn't charge him because the DNA didn't match, thankfully, because it's now someone has been arrested for that crime who wasn't my guy. And guess what? He was a fucking copycat. Like, yeah. So, like, admittedly, like a copycat. Like, this guy was his Jesus, and he wanted to be him, and to pay homage to him, he did his crimes exactly like this person. So, thankfully, I didn't get as far along, as these cops, because I'm not as lazy as them. I trusted the system and didn't try to bend around obvious evidence. So, all right, so let's carry on. August 12th, 2003. Juan Catalan and his girlfriend Alma had broken up, and he calls Alma, like we do sometimes. Hey, why don't you come over and spend the night? Just come hang out or whatever. One of those calls. You probably got those
my
calls.
Guy.
Savannah.
I love a persistent guy. Not really, but game respects game, and he got her over there.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple times where he admits things that I really like. I just love the way he's like, she said no, but I'm a pretty persistent guy, and I talked her into it. Like, you can see he's got that smile on his face, like, yeah, that's right, okay. Yeah.
And he's so proud. I love it.
Yeah, I like.
There's another time. My favorite times in a second when he does with the tickets, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, so So they go to his job, and then boom.
Yeah, they get up the next morning. He has to drive to work, 7:30 a.m. They pull into the parking lot. And I wasn't clear where he works, but it's a machine shop, and I got the impression his dad owns it. I don't know, because his dad works there. Yeah. So they pull up into the parking lot. As soon as he gets out, boom, all these plainclothes police officers jump out of unmarked cars, put him at gunpoint, order him to the ground, cuff him up. And his dad walks out, and he's like, what the fuck? And this really got me right away, because when Juan is telling this story, he can't even get the words out about when he made eye contact with his dad and what he had said to his dad at that moment. He kept choking up over and over. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is a moment right here. Pretty close to my dad. And then I imagine, like, him being my son. And I'm like, I can't handle this. So, he was taken.
Because there's also probably a shame part of it, where, like, your dad doesn't know what to think. Of course, your dad doesn't think you would do anything wrong, but at the same time, why would 19 police officers be jumping on you if you weren't? Yeah,
right.
And he's been in trouble before, so his dad's like, did you do something? God damn it, man! I thought we had this figured out. And he's like, I swear I don't know. I mean, that would be the heartbreaking part, is you thought that there'd be doubt in your dad's head that you would be a bad guy.
Because his brother never quit committing crimes, right? His brother, a criminal, so his dad probably did think, oh shit, I thought this boy was on the straight and narrow, and he's gonna end up like my other kid. It had to be somewhere in the back of his mind, I would think.
Yeah. Now, I will say that's when I knew he didn't do it. When you cry talking about your dad, you're not a murderer.
Right. Yeah.
Jenner, right? I mean, like, that's just put that in the box. Like, here's a picture of your dad. What do you think? And you're like, I just don't want to disappoint him. You're like, yeah, you didn't murder anybody. If you cry when you see your dad, come on.
Right.
I didn't get choked up during that part, because then we never found out what he said, and that was frustrating. Oh. Because they couldn't.
Jesus Christ. Savannah always has to have answers. Always has to know what's coming up next.
Are you not curious as to what the rest of that was? Because they built it up, and it was so emotional, and then there was nothing.
It's more powerful to me that he couldn't get the words out, and I have to fill in the blanks myself. That's what I say.
But you can't. You don't know.
I think that's creative filmmaking, because he probably did eventually get the words out, and they're like, you know what? This is a way better documentary if we never finish that sentence. That's what I think.
I do not concede, but go on.
Well, look, you know that Savannah's going to reach out to the documentarian on Twitter, and they'll become friends, and he'll watch this show, and so she can ask that. You can ask that question, Savannah, when you become friends with this dude.
Yeah. By the way, every guy that makes a documentary that we cover ends up friends with Savannah on social media. So yeah. Congratulations.
Hey, go with your strengths, man. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
So if we feature your documentary, you're welcome.
Agreed. You're welcome.
So he gets taken to the L.A. County Jail, where he's interviewed by detectives. 2 detectives I fucking hate.
Yep.
And both, by the way, both look like fucking slobs. You work in homicide. It's supposed to be the most prestigious unit of any police department. You're on LAPD homicide unit, and you dress like a fucking slob, and you're fat.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched a lot of like Law and Order and the L.A. cop shows, and they're always hot. I don't know what these guys are doing. I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
Respect the fact that if you work LAPD homicide, you can have a successful film career as a consultant and a talking head on Nancy Grace after you're done. Fucking go on a diet and fucking cut your hair every now and then.
I just can't believe you always have to have answers. I don't understand why you can't just let things go.
Fuck off.
But they did have reason to think. So this girl had gotten killed who had testified or didn't even, but had been supposed to testify against his brother, right? So there was a bit of a side motive. I understand kind of why they would think
revealing to
out of
him
the
that
blue, but
Martha Puebla, the 16-year-old girl, on March 12th, 2003, which is important because that's 3 months prior, almost to the day of him being arrested. 3 months prior, Martha got murdered, and it turned out she had testified in a case where Juan's brother was a co-defendant in a murder with another dude, and that Juan was in the courtroom at the trial during her testimony. So initially, I respect the fact if you're a cop and you're like, all right, and you've got nothing to go on, okay, let's look at things. She testified in that hearing we had, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that guy's brother's still out. Maybe we should take a look at him. But that's developing a person of interest. Different than a suspect and definitely different than a fucking defendant. And they already have him as a defendant with very little to go on.
I don't understand. She never actually gave any information, though, right?
Yeah. Because Juan's like, okay, but big deal. Like, I watched her go on the stand, and she was like, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see who did it. So why would I fucking kill her?
To her credit, though, like, she's 16 when she died. I mean, she was younger when she testified, or close to younger when she testified. And so, like, I can't imagine being that age. I can't imagine being my age now and having to, like, testify. I can't imagine what her life felt like having to do that.
And she lived in a neighborhood where there was just a lot of gangbangers and stuff. So she was, a lot of shit going on all the time. So especially then to be brave enough to testify, that's pretty unique. So Juan said that he has a cousin, right? He realized, I got this cousin. He works for this big shot lawyer that he's always bragging about named Todd Melnick. So why don't I give him a call, see if he'd be interested in taking my case? How do we feel about Todd Melnick, by the way?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Is he the coolest guy that ever lived or what?
So cool.
He's like doing hard copy and he's on TV like covering OJ trials. He's like a TV lawyer guy, but he's also an actual lawyer guy.
Yes.
He lives in Vegas. He's just a fucking badass. And really what this whole thing taught me, I already knew this, but it made me reinforce the idea that, like, thank God Juan's cousin knew this guy. I mean, like, if he has a public defender, he's fucking getting the death penalty.
Oh,
that's the problem with the system. Like, if you've got the guy who will put the time and energy into it, right? Because Todd spent fucking, and I think you liked him a lot because his name was also Todd.
Yeah,
For most Todds, Todd. I mean, that's when a guy's a Todd, you're really into that guy.
That's his biggest drawback.
But like, if he had not put all that time and energy.
By the way, you're the only Savannah I know that's not a stripper, so congratulations.
I could be a stripper. I would make a lot of money.
Well, yeah, that's true. And it's not hard to be a stripper. Just lose your job.
Okay, first of all, I don't know if you've ever done pole dancing, but it is extremely hard.
We're putting a pole in the Boom Boom room is what we're going to call it. The room, our entertainment room, our second bedroom. We're putting a stripper pole in there.
Respect.
It was ordered from Amazon. It will be here October 7th. So
I'm going to book a flight so much sooner.
Because Chrissy loves, that's how she gets in shape. She loves doing the stripper pole. We had one upstairs in the Carmel house until one of the comics jumped on it from the couch and bent it in half, and that was the end of it. But we had it for a couple of years. People just spent on it. It was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, are you an upstairs neighbor? Do you have people below you?
We people below us.
They're gonna love your
We're the
stripper
top
pole.
floor. We're the top floor.
Your downstairs neighbor's gonna love.
Doesn't make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't land on the floor real hard.
It's a spinning pole?
Yeah, it spins right. So it spins on its own. That's the key.
For people that don't know much about strip clubs, that's the whole trick. The pole spins.
It is so much. Oh, okay. We're not talking about this. I'm not going to get into the logistics of pole dancing with you, Todd.
I think it's easy if the pole spins. But anyway, all right, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But you could be a stripper for sure. That's what we're talking about.
Back to Todd. Not this Todd.
Todd Melnick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still like that 16 years later, you can tell how much Juan loves Todd and just has so much enthusiasm and respect and just like, I mean, his face lights up whenever he talks about Todd on the documentary.
Well, he has to. I mean, this guy totally saved him. I mean, like Bauer said, usually a guy in Juan's shoes, just, a dude that has a regular job, just, making ends meet, gets a public defender who doesn't give a fuck about you or the case. Definitely doesn't have the time and resources to go do all the things. 17 other defendants that week, and I mean, these guys that do 9 arraignments in a row, and they don't have any resources, and I mean, it's. I mean, on some level, I don't think that the prosecution gets all kinds of money to prosecute cases, but we don't give the public defender any money to do that. I think. I mean, they get
not very much.
Yeah, they get money, but it's not very much for sure.
Not as much as the prosecution gets, I guess is my point. Like that would be a reform, as if the public defender got the same amount of money as the prosecution to like fight the case. That could be something where we could fix it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So he just lucks out because of his connection to his cousin. Gets this cool ass, a TV attorney who's just obviously just a nice guy too. So the detectives show Juan a composite sketch of Martha's killer. Taken from an eyewitness description, and it looks just like Juan. I mean, it looks like Juan modeled for the sketch artist.
Yep.
I mean, it could not look more like Juan if he, it was better than the talented the sketch artist too. Like it was as good as the Leonardo DiCaprio sketch of Rose. Like it looked that good.
You ever seen Titanic, Savannah?
Guess how much I like that movie.
You hate it, probably.
I hate that movie.
Why?
That is my least favorite movie.
But there's no surprise. You hate surprises. You know exactly what's going to happen the whole time. Why would you hate Titanic?
Remember how we were talking about some documentaries could be 40 minutes when they're an hour and a half? Mm-hmm. That's how I felt about Titanic. It could have been a 20-minute movie.
Oh, you just wanted to, all right, yeah, we're excited, we're on a cruise. Oh, no, ice. And then the movie's over.
And then they say,
that was it.
That would be
I went to see Titanic the first weekend because I didn't want to get spoiled by everyone loving it and then hating it, and I loved it. It was great. Now, I haven't watched it since.
It's one of the best movies ever.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. Mm-hmm. But,
So he gets his sketch shown to him, and he not only looks just like the sketch, the physical description given by the eyewitness matches, age range, all that, 5'7" to 5'11", 19 to 25 years old, stocky build, light mustache, and a tuft of hair under his bottom lip. And then Juan's like, aha! I don't have a tuft of hair under my bottom lip. In fact, I've never had one. And this detective, what an asshole. What a smart. He's like, well, what? Maybe you shaved it. Well, why would I shave this tuft under my lip and not shave the mustache?
No, he goes, you have one right now. He goes, no, I haven't shaved. And he goes, well, maybe you weren't shaved then. He's like, but then why wouldn't I shave the mustache? That doesn't make any fucking sense, you jackass.
Yeah.
And he was like, because you might think you're cool or something. And I was like,
oh, that's what it was. Why would I leave hair there? So you'd think make you think you're cool?
Yeah, maybe
like
you didn't think there were any witnesses, but guess what? There was a witness. And he's like, oh my God. And they start talking the death penalty. And I mean, just scare tactics 101. They showed him what detectives call a six-pack, which is a photo array of 6 mug photos of people who look very similar.
And real quick, that's the first 6-pack either one of these motherfucking cops has seen in a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a photo array, officially named, where it's 6 mug photos of people who look very similar. In this case, Hispanic, short hair, thin mustache. And they show the 6-pack to their eyewitness, they say. And usually when you do that, you're like, oh, the person responsible for the death of Martha may or may not be included in these photos, but do you recognize any of them? And if so, why? And they tell him, look, the eyewitness circled your picture, and we had them initial by it. They say, yeah, absolutely, this is the guy who murdered Martha. So they're trying to throw all the evidence in the world they have to get him to confess, but he's not bending. What did you guys think about, because they start playing the interview tape, and you can hear his responses Juan's responses. What did you guys think listening to it?
Well, when they started with like the composite sketch, my only thought was that the sketch still looks like Juan.
Right.
Like that's exactly what he looks like now. And my only thought was like I think like my pride would keep me from looking like that ever again. I would have done something to change the way I look so that I wouldn't match that composite. And I think that would just be like my way of dealing with it. But like I just couldn't believe that he still looks exactly the same. Like he's got really good genes.
You're talking about in the documentary that was after, still, when you grow your hair out.
He didn't get a ponytail or grow a full beard or anything. He still looks like the guy. Because there's a killer out there that looks like you. That's the bad part. Right? There's a killer that looks just fucking like you. Grow a beard.
Yeah. And by the way, if you looked at the six-pack, a lot of people in your neighborhood look just like you, and not all of them are awesome people, so you might try to stick out.
Yeah, I mean, but I thought, we know he's innocent from the beginning, but he just, like, you're making a mistake, I didn't do this, I would never hurt anybody, in a real genuine way. Like, I don't know what you guys are even talking about. Like, this is crazy. Not like, and then the cops do this, I think they're supposed to, or whatever, they're allowed to anyway. They try to lie and tell you they figured things out, hoping you'll like try to explain it away, or my cell phone was there because I was getting a dog groom or whatever, and make up some shit so they can catch you later. But he wasn't doing any of that. He's like, I don't know why it matches me. It's not me though. I don't fucking know, dude.
Yes, he gave all the right answers. Like when they teach interview school, like these are the responses you're supposed to get when someone's not trying to be deceptive. You know, he's like, I did not do this. I swear on my two daughters, who I love very much, I did not kill this woman. So he wasn't saying the bullshit stuff like, no, why would I kill this woman? I'm a dad. I'm a good person. I don't even own a gun, or all these things that are indirect answers that aren't actually stating I did not do it. He's the complete opposite. So you would think, all right, even if these detectives were convinced at first they had the right guy, if they're very good at their job at all, this would have to raise some doubt. Like, maybe guy sounds like he didn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, when we talked about the judge, that's what the judge did. The judge listened to these tapes and came away with exactly what you came away with from. This doesn't sound like a guy who did it.
So the police asked him for an alibi. And his girlfriend, luckily, because on tape, he's like, I don't know what I was doing that night. But you have to keep in mind, the dude's just been arrested for the murder of a 16-year-old girl that he didn't commit. Yeah. And now he's being interviewed, and you're like, what did you do on this date? Where were you on this date? I don't know, bro. I just know I didn't murder her. Yeah, 3 months ago.
Like, I don't know what I did 3 days ago.
Where were you guys all June 12th this year? What were you doing June 12th this year?
Right. I am so bad with dates. I could not tell you.
Now, now that's why I keep a calendar. Like a Brett Kavanaugh type calendar. Like when everybody's yelling at that dude, and they're like, "Why would you?" I'm like, I do that. I have a calendar right next to me that tells. I write down what I do every day, who I hung out with, where I was, and it's not so in case I get accused of murder. It's so I can see. I track my weight loss and I can tell funny stories or whatever. But I do have I've done that for a very long time. But so I could go in my drawer right now and pull out June 12th and tell you what I was doing. But if you ask me right now, I have no fucking idea what I was doing June 12th.
Wow.
I don't even know when that was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating.
But you could at least, while you're being interviewed, go, listen, guys, wait. If you just take me to my house, let me get into my drawer, I can pull out my calendar and tell you exactly what I was doing on the day she was murdered.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
I know it's nerdy, but literally,
But I'm trying to think, as a detective, if somebody said that in the interview room, I would be like, well, this is really interesting. Let's go to your house.
I know. I want to read his entire calendar now.
Now, all right, listen, guys. For those of you that aren't watching on video, this is so fucking hilarious. This isn't a little calendar, day planner book. This is one of those big office calendars that occupies your entire desktop. Why he's never had a desk or worked in an office, but he has a desk office calendar that he keeps his personal life on. Oh my God, it's so funny.
And I've been doing this. You want to see something super funny? Let me show you. Hang on, I'm going to show you something else.
Oh my God. He is my favorite person. Oh my heavens.
Why would you buy those? Why wouldn't you just get little books?
Because I keep it on the wall, so I write down how much I weigh every day, so it reminds me to weigh in and all that shit. But when I was in college, I would get a swimsuit desk calendar every year. And
there's the Bowers I know.
It's a complete fucking record of everything I've done, and it has a little code if I kissed a girl or I hooked up with somebody. Oh. It's just everything I ever did.
What's the code for hooking up with somebody?
Well, okay, I'll show you my ex-wife. So this is when I first met her. So like a little, just one line means we made out. An asterisk is we had sex. An upside down cross is a blowjob.
The upside down cross is a blowjob. What are you? Are you a female preacher from 1830?
No. Actually, I forgot. A cross is a blowjob. An upside down cross is I went down on her. That's what it meant.
Oh, an upside down cross is you went down on her.
Yeah, so it's flipped upside down because I was down there. That's
I am deeply disturbed.
Now the detective be like, look, he's got a bunch of upside down crosses on here. This is satanic cult bullshit. He definitely did it. No, I just go down on girls a lot. That's my code. Whatever. Cuffs go back on.
Okay, so like, if we're being honest, the way that I keep track of what I've done is my Instagram stories, because you go through your archive, and so I'll know who I went on a date with when, because I've probably posted something about it to like shame them or whatever on my Instagram story.
Oh. I'll so teach you to make me a side chick. Here goes my story. At Applebee's with David.
The fact that you think that I would go to Applebee's, come on.
That's where side chicks go.
Yeah, Olive Garden's for family. Applebee's is for side chicks.
That's good. On principle, I will never go to an Applebee's again.
The 2 for $20. You're not worth more than the 2 for $20. Oh my God.
So, but thank God for his girlfriend, because his girlfriend has a good memory. Because even after May 12th, he's like, I don't. And she's like, whoa, that's Mother's Day, because she's a mom. That's Mother's Day. Didn't you go to the baseball game? And he's like, oh yeah, I bought my mom tickets to a baseball game. Wait, no, she said he bought his mom tickets to a baseball game, hoping that she wouldn't go, so he could go with the tickets. Right. That was her Mother's Day present, which is hilarious. And he goes,
my God,
yeah, I did do that. I was trying to get the tickets. I wanted to get credit for Mother's Day present, but then also go to a Dodger game myself.
I love Juan, dude. What a move.
And he's got that little smile where he's like, yeah, I was kind of a dick. I fucking tried to pull a fast one.
Buying yourself a gift for somebody else is just next level that I love.
You have to appreciate it.
I appreciate it. You know, it's an art form.
He's a huge Dodgers fan. You know, his mom's like, okay, Juanito, I get it. Go to your Dodgers game. Thanks for coming by. So he ends up taking his 6-year-old daughter, which is very sweet, and then his boys, his cousin Miguel and his friend Ruben. And attendance that night was 27,458.
Paid attendance.
Paid attendance, yeah. Not counting radio giveaways or whatever. So I'm assuming it's pretty full. And by the video, it looked like a pretty full house. Mm-hmm. So
now here's my question, Todd. Why couldn't he use the 2 friends as an alibi? I don't understand. Like, I don't get why that doesn't count. Dude. Like in most places, like if your friends are like, no, he was here. Do they not trust friends? Do you have to have like receipts for shit now? Or I just thought like
it's because they made their mind up. They weren't going to listen to anything. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. Like, and this prosecutor's not helping either. He ends up, this prosecutor is a nightmare.
She's the worst. But we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. I'm just confused that like that they didn't take. I thought if he had an alibi, like if me and you were hanging out all night and you could account for my whereabouts, you know, but they just thought those guys were lying, I guess.
Well, you would think they would at least say, okay, well, you know, help us. Then, you know, let's start bringing us in some proof that you were there, something we can verify. So it's just not you guys, you know, covering for your cousin and your buddy, but it is 2 people. And how they even showed his daughter testifying on the stand, remembering being there and stuff, right? So when Martha gets killed, she gets killed. She walks out of her house to meet 4 other young people, and she's talking. And they say that a man drives, or a Chevy Malibu drives a block a few times, circles a block, and then a guy gets out, walks right up to Martha, and just shoots her in the head, right? And then the other 4 people just take off running. And one of these 4 people is the eyewitness, who is the one that they base the composite sketch off of. So while that's happening, there was a huge 9th inning rally by the Braves. The Dodgers blow their lead, all this. So Juan leaves early. He's like, let's get out of here. I'm not going to watch the last out. And on the way out, he sees a baseball card stand. So he stops to buy a few packs of baseball cards. And he's like, and then we went home. We opened the packs of baseball cards. That was our night. I don't know what to tell you. But this prosecutor has never lost a murder case before, and she prides herself on that very much. Her name's Beth Silverman, and by all accounts, she's feared by defense attorneys. Her nickname, even from them, is the Sniper, because she likes to pick people off with the death penalty. So, luck of the draw, he draws the Sniper on his case, and she's not having any of this alibi bullshit. Mm-mm. I mean, it's mind-blowing up to this point, right?
I would love to talk to her now.
Oh, God. Yeah, she didn't want to be interviewed because she looks like the most evil fucking person on the face of the planet. Yeah. And bad at her job, by the way.
I think I read an article that she actually got awarded some money over a sexual harassment case.
Oh, yeah.
Like 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. But that's all I could find on her. I couldn't find, anything to get in contact with her. Yeah,
she's not hopefully she lost her fucking job after that happened. But the prosecutor, who's going by the Sniper, has her own theory for motive, and that's that Martha was murdered in retaliation for testifying against Juan's brother and the other co-defendant in their murder trial. And she was like, the composite sketch looks just like Juan, and Juan was present in the courtroom during her testimony, so Juan did it. Let's take a minute just to examine. That's your whole case?
We're also skipping over the fact, I think Todd brought this up, and it wasn't mentioned again, that didn't she say, I'm Martha, don't you remember me?
Yeah, and he says, no, you don't, and then shoots her.
Yeah. I think that's a big piece of information that I would love to go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, because you would think she would recognize Juan, right? This is the brother of the guy I'm testifying against. Yeah.
Well, Todd, how many times? I mean, I've seen so much stuff now about how eyewitness testimony is actually very unreliable.
Very.
So the idea that we've used that our entire justice system is based on me going, no, I saw that guy, when our memories are just not that. I mean, how many people do you think we've put in jail over the last 1,000 years because that's all we had until we had DNA and shit? But I mean,
well, you're not supposed to. That's the problem.
Really?
I mean, yeah, maybe back in the 20s when you had nothing else to go on, it probably happened a lot. But in an era of DNA and all this stuff, forensic science and all these things, this prosecutor's acting like this case happened in 1920. You know what I mean? One witness who you already know that we can't count on witness statements that occur during a traumatic event because funny shit happens to your brain when that happens, right? Your brain protects you. So it says there is a threat right in front of you. It's a gun. Focus on that. And you don't get to focus on anything else. You can't help it. And then your brain has all these gaps, right? because you weren't witnessing things you normally would observe. So your brain doesn't like those holes. It starts filling in the gap and making things up. So you they test you in the academy. They put us in a room. We're all sitting there just like a normal class, and the instructor's up there talking. All of a sudden, a dude jumps out of one of the closets in there with a fake gun with blanks and just starts popping off rounds, and everybody hits the floor, scared out of their mind, and the guy takes off running out of the room real fast, and they're like, all right, everybody get up, get in your seats. Write down exactly what that person looked like, what they said, and what they were wearing. And it was the craziest bullshit. People had race wrong. It was that far off. And wrong color, had a hoodie and he really had a short sleeve shirt on. It was incredible. And it's just because your brain, I didn't see what he was wearing. and it's happened subconsciously. You don't do it on purpose. But I was at the mall last night and I saw this guy in a weird red hoodie. Yeah, this guy was wearing that weird red hoodie. But it happens like this. You don't realize it's happening, right? So yeah, you're not supposed to count on those. And here, that's their whole case, and it's blowing my mind up to this point. Like, what in the fuck is happening? How are you supposed to be this really good prosecutor? So. And she's not buying she's like, I don't care who says they were where with him. You know, didn't happen. He's our shooter. He looks just like the picture that the guy drew. So Alma. And then his girlfriend finds the tickets from the game. Fucking beautiful. Like, Alma's the fucking hero, does that. And that's still not good enough. Like, what? I know I have a ticket of where it was. Look. And they're like, wow, that could have been anybody. You could have just bought those on eBay. Who has tickets from a baseball game May 12th just sitting in their drawer?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, the odds of that... like, you got to be a pretty criminal mastermind to fucking buy tickets and then shoot someone during the game and then show the tickets. Come on.
I'm not saying, let's say your case is, we got his DNA from the crime scene. Okay, now maybe you can start to think, maybe these tickets were just a ruse to cover his butt, Okay, because you have DNA, not just some fucking really good artist who drew a picture of, every light-skinned Hispanic dude with short hair and a thin mustache, So,
how heartbreaking was it that he saw her on the way in the bus, the prison bus? He's in the prison bus. And that's when it's real to him. He's in this fucking prison bus in his own little cage in the back. And then on the highway, he sees his girlfriend in the car. She sees a random prison bus on her way home from work, and it happens to be him. And oh my God. Fuck.
I think the worst part for me was when they started talking about the fact that he was transferred into a maximum security prison. I don't understand why that is a thing, because you're not convicted yet. You've been charged. You don't have a violent criminal history. And because of what I do and the nonprofits I work with, I just know how fucked up people can get just from being in prison.
Absolutely.
Even if they're innocent, just the time that you spend in there and the way that you get treated. And when he was talking about how you don't know fear until you hear a grown man scream like that.
Yeah. It's got to be scary. Like, now he's not exposed to the regular population because he's got a trial pending.
Yeah.
But he's in there. He's in the worst prison they got, and he's hearing dudes get violated or whatever in the hell is happening by these other scary dudes. And he's like, fuck, is this where I'm going to have to live? Until they put a needle in my arm. It was horrifying. The whole thing's horrifying. But he's got Todd. He's got Todd Melnick. Who's like, all right, well, these tickets aren't enough. The fucking people that went with him testifying is not enough. Let's go to the park.
Let's call every season ticket holder within 3 seats of this guy. That's how fucking this guy's calling people from Hawaii and Chicago and like, hey, you were at the game. Did you happen to see a guy with his daughter with a thin mustache that kind of looks like this?
Right.
And they're like, I don't know. But he called every fucking one of them. This guy's not giving up. And that's the great thing about this dude.
Absolutely.
Because he's doing it all himself, too. It's not like he's got fucking paralegals out there and doing it. He's personally doing all this shit, which is very cool.
And he goes to the park, combs through all the park's footage, the stuff they shoot for the Jumbotron or whatever, and he's looking at all that, and he knows, okay, every time a right-handed batter's up, we got a chance of catching Juan because their seats were behind the dugout there on this side. So they actually see him. He actually sees him, but it's such low quality that when they enhance it to blow it up, it gets all pixelated.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, fuck, the sniper's not going to buy that. So Juan's daughter, again, testifies, which to me is really like a 6-year-old kid can't get up there and lie like that, So the fact that they were just dismissing that really bothered me. But the prosecution's not buying it all, and the resolution on the camera from the park is not saving him because it's too bad. So Juan tells Todd, his lawyer, that I think someone else was there filming something, because I've been to hundreds of Dodgers games in my day, and I've never seen cameramen in the stands and security like blocking off rows like that. Something was going on. Somebody else was filming. Maybe they have footage of me. So his lawyer starts to track that lead down, contacts the dude at the park, and he's like, I don't know, let me look. He's like Bowers. He takes notes on what went on every day in his little calendar. So he pulls out his, and he's like, oh, well, I have written down this production company's name, which Todd Melnick doesn't recognize, and a phone number with it. So Melnick calls that number, and the person that answers the phone says, HBO. And he's like, what? What the fuck? HBO was here?
Yeah.
Turns out they were filming an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, one of the greatest shows to ever grace television, comedy-wise. So Melnick gets a hold of, he asks his producer, he pleads with him, he's like, listen, this is my last hope, man. I have to prove that my client was at this game or he's facing the death penalty. They're not buying anything up until this point. Like, I need to know if your crew happened to catch my client on camera. Can I please come look at the outtakes? And this is my favorite part, I think, of the whole thing was that the producer calls Larry David, and Larry's like, yeah, come on down. What? Okay. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. Come on down.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
And Larry sits with Melnick while he goes through all the, like, he didn't just say, yeah, you let him in the building or whatever. Yeah, this is awesome. Let me sit down next to you. Let's go through it together. And I love this. The episode was called The Carpool Lane, which was season 4, episode 7. And the episode was Larry is stuck in the carpool lane in the traffic jam. So he picks up a prostitute in the carpool lane and takes her to a Dodgers game. And by the way, the part of the prostitute was played by Kim Whitley.
Love her.
Better known for her work in TV sitcoms such as Animal Practice, The Boondocks, Young and Hungry, and The Parkers, and for her role as Ormandy in the 2003 film Deliver Us from Eva, which earned her a 2004 BET Comedy Award nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Box Office Movie. So this is a big deal. So Dodger Stadium.
And they're filming in one specific row. Like there's just one row, one shot, and then he goes down to the talk to
Super Dave Osborne.
Super Dave Osborne, right, who plays a character on the show. And so there's only 2 places they're filming. It's not like they're filming all of Dodger Stadium. They're only filming 2 places. And it happens to be the row that fucking Juan is in. It's in that section.
And the whole premise, in order to fit the narrative of the story for this episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry has to have shitty seats, right? So he's real high up, and then he sees, the premise is, he's with this hooker in these shitty seats, and he sees his buddy, who's, I only know him as Super Dave Osborne, is got great seats down low, and he's like, ooh, I'll go down, and he's got empty seats around him, no one's sitting in his other block of seats, and talk him into us moving down there. So if you look at the 2 shots, Super Dave's down low, and then Larry's way high, and then Juan, his seats are right in the middle of those 2. So, like, what are the fucking odds? First of all, they even Curb Your Enthusiasm as they're shooting. Secondly, that the 2 shots are right at either end of your seat. So.
And then his kid needs ice cream, so they go get ice cream, and they won't let him back because they're recording, right? Won't let him back, and then that was my favorite part was the PA guy who was like, because they let him through. They let him through while they were still shooting. Didn't mean to. He didn't know they were still shooting. He's like, yeah, I guess I'm a shitty PA or whatever. But that's the only 2 people you let through. It's not like you let through a bunch of people. It was just those. The only 2 people you see are them. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
It's so fucking funny because this production assistant that they interview is like, I've never worked on a TV show before, you know. I put in for it. I got hired. I didn't know what I'm doing. I'm just standing there, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm in charge of, you know, blocking off this access to this point of the stadium, and he didn't know what to do, basically. He's like, I guess they were filming, but I didn't know what the fuck was going on, so I'm like, yeah, man, go ahead. And the guy crosses the shot, him and his daughter.
That was the second part that almost got me.
Yeah, right?
Got me for sure. When they pop into screen and they're full HD, and it's him and his daughter, and you know it's him, and he's got his Dodgers shirt on because he's a Dodgers fan. Like, you can just tell. Like, I also love the love of the sport. You know, this is kind of his life. I mean, he's been a Dodgers fan his whole life, and then the Dodgers save him from the death pen. That's also crazy and awesome. You know what I mean? Like, as a Bengals fan and a Reds fan, like, I understand what it's like to have fandom and to go to games and all that stuff. And when they pop into that shot, dude, I mean, literally, I welled up and I was fucking goosebumps everywhere.
The production assistant's reaction choked me up because I really saw in his face, like, oh my God, look what I did. You know, like, I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing. It's almost like God put this guy there, like, you're going to be in charge of this particular area tonight because you don't know what you're doing. You know?
See, Todd, this is what makes a good story, is I saw it coming. I knew that was going to happen, right? We all knew that he was going to be on the tape, and yet it was still such a good moment. It's so great when you see something coming and then it comes true. Because
the story of how. That's what made it good.
No.
A PA who didn't know what the fuck he was doing.
Yeah. But I see what you're saying, Savannah. You're saying that, like, you don't need to be surprised out of nowhere. You want to predict it and then be right. Yeah. So that's what it's about.
Just tell the story well. All right, I get that. I see. But I love when Melnick and they were interviewing kind of him and going back and forth between he and Larry David with quick jump cuts, and it was like describing the moment when they saw them on camera, because Melnick's like, I jumped out of my chair. Then it goes to Larry David. He's like, he jumped out of his chair. Like,
yeah.
It's so awesome.
I mean, and think about the emotion that Todd felt. I mean, we felt this emotion watching it with no time invested. I've invested 31 minutes at this point of my life into this documentary.
Absolutely.
And fucking, can you imagine putting the days and weeks and knowing this guy and knowing he was innocent, and then you fucking find the thing? Oh my God, that's gotta, because that probably doesn't happen that often.
No.
I mean, as a cop, how many times do you find that thing where it's like, oh no, here's a fucking video of the murder. This is
right,
them, or whatever.
That's the one defining moment of a career. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, oh my God, like all the cool shit that Todd Melnick has done, and he's one of those cool ass TV lawyers. Like, finding that footage is going to be the highlight of his entire career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's elated. And so, right, Juan saved, right? Wrong.
Nope.
These
Not the
shots
sniper. She's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. These shots were time coded. And the first shot that he's in was at 8:55, and the last shot they show him in was at 9:15 p.m. Well, the murder was committed at 10:32 p.m. Plenty of time, says the sniper, to leave the game
Go home,
early.
tuck your daughter into bed, and then roll across town and shoot a girl in the face. Yeah, that's what you're going to do. That's probably a good
1 hour and
timeline.
17 minutes after he last appears on camera during Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's like, he goes and commits a murder. And to support it, she says, well, in fact, by Juan's own admission, he dropped off his cousin after the game at 10:42 p.m., which is 10 minutes after the murder, and that location is within 100 to 150 feet away from the victim's house where she was murdered. So he was in the area at the time. And now Melnick's like, fuck, we're back to square one now.
Right.
Now my client has really put himself near the scene of the crime at the time of the crime. So everything we just did has been undone. I mean, as incredible as it sounds, this big save has just totally been erased.
Yeah.
This is where Alma saves him again by calling him on the cell phone from her girlfriend's phone, because that motherfucker wasn't picking up her calls. He was sending them the voicemail, so she called from an unknown number so he would fucking answer, because she wanted to know when the fuck he was coming home, and that's fucking what saved him.
Right.
So, that's the third time. She remembers at the game, she found the tickets, and she called his ass to see fucking how long he was going to be at the game, to probably nag him a little bit, and fucking that's the thing that saves him, is at 10:11 he's at the stadium.
I didn't even think about that, because they were having problems when he got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, maybe if they weren't having problems, this never would have happened.
Yeah, because she called. She's like, "All right, when you bringing my kid back?"
Right.
From her friend's phone, because she didn't use her phone. And then, and Todd, you're a cell phone guy. This was your thing, right?
I love like in this how during the documentary when something like that significantly like timestamps the era, because Todd, the lawyer, was like, well, the OJ thing had just happened. So now, because of that chase of the white Bronco, and they revealed on the news that the marshals were tracking his cell phone. All of us knew because of that when you make or receive a call, we can tell what tower your phone was registering with. So because of the OJ thing, he was like, well, we should look at your cell phone records to see if we can tell what tower you're on and maybe put you farther away from the crime scene and screw up the sniper's timeline a little bit. So at 10:12 p.m., he gets this call from Alma, and he is hitting a tower. Juan's device is registered with a tower right outside Dodger Stadium. So now, like, they're getting closer, right? It doesn't... But totally.
Even then, the prosecutor doesn't give a fuck. They're still pushing for the whole. I mean, this
drive
is
time.
All,
you still could have made it.
Yeah, this is still up to the judge in the preliminary case, and that's where I also will give credit to the judge because so many times, all of the system is in cahoots in the same direction, and what you really need is everyone to be independent. Like you need the prosecutor to really scrutinize the cops, and then the judge scrutinize the prosecutor instead of what is happening with the prosecutor just listened to the cops and just went with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times the judge just then goes with that. Well, why would they lie to me or whatever? And it's like, because they're lazy. They made up their mind and they're fucking stupid idiots. See how fat they are? They're fucking lazy cops. Right? Like, I think if I was ever arrested, and the cop was fat, I would go like, you trust this guy? Look how lazy he is. He's a fat fuck.
He didn't take care of himself. And I love that the judge was so honest because this is in the early days of people testifying to cell phones. So it hasn't been done very much. And they brought in like people from the cell phone company to do it. And they don't know how to talk to normal people. So they're like, it was registered tower DU497, which is in the grid coordinate. And the judge is like, I didn't even know what in the fuck they were saying.
Right.
You know, so I'm all confused. So I'm like, all right. It seems like they have something, but I'm going to take the interview tape home. I want to hear the detective's interview with Juan. I'm going to take it home over the weekend. I'm just going to listen to it over and over and over again. And what a movie. She's like, I even played it for my kids. And I'm like, does this sound to you like the voice of a guilty man? Yeah,
no, by the way, I'm not a big fan of her playing it for her children.
Yeah, this is evidence.
And having her kids go, well, I'm not worried about that. That if her kid were like, yeah, you fucking did it, would she fucking put him in jail? Like, I don't trust an 11-year-old to know the intent of a guy from an interview. What are you talking about?
Well, I thought it was incredible because, like, you guys picked up right away how emphatic and concise and direct he was with these answers. They're like the same thing. He's like, and then they played that one part. He's like, you guys are going to look back at this one day, and you're going to be so disappointed with yourselves because you're not listening.
He called his shot. He's like, someday you're going to be on a documentary, motherfucker, on Netflix.
Exactly.
You don't even know what Netflix is yet, but there's going to be a thing called Netflix, and you're going to be on it, and fuck you.
It's going to make its living off exposing fat, lazy thumbtacks like you. It's going to put the whole streaming platform on a map.
Oh, no.
So, the prosecutor still tries to fight, right before the judge goes off with, well, Judge, yes, it's a one witness case, but the composite sketch, you have to admit, looks just like him. And that's basically my whole case, but you should find him guilty, right? And I love the judge is like, I have no doubt your eyewitness was trying to be credible, but he had just witnessed a murder and was running for his life on a dark street at almost 11 o'clock at night. So let's go with everything else. And she drops the case. And
I love that the moment where Juan said, I didn't know what she was saying. Because it
was legal speak, yeah.
I don't know what she's saying. You're just like, oh God, what's happening? And then Todd just goes, it's over. And now again, which direction? I don't even know what that means.
Right.
Fucking, it's over, like good or bad, Todd. And then fucking,
you mean my life or the case?
Right, exactly. Like, it's over. It could be like, you're going to fucking trial, brother, or whatever. But like.
Was the giveaway the fact that we were 38 minutes into a 40-minute documentary that you were like, oh, well, that's got to be the end?
By the way, I knew what he meant. What I'm saying is I was sitting there, I was Juan in real time. I'm not sure it's over would have fucking let me know. Yeah. I mean, like, fuck,
I got to agree. I got to agree with this choice of wording. Maybe we just won would be a little easier to understand.
You're going home?
Yeah.
hope you like pussy, something like that maybe, but not fucking it's over. That could mean both things. Like the case is over or your life is over. That was like, oh shit.
Who's being nitpicky now, guys?
I thought the same thing though. I'm like, why would you say that?
Well, you're fucked. What? No, I mean, when you get home, you're going to get fucked because you're going home today.
Yeah,
Was I not clear about that? Was I being... Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're about... What's this mean? It means you're about to get fucked. Oh, no. Yeah. No, I mean, in a good way. Fuck. Yeah. Well, God damn it, Todd. Why are you so ambiguous with your good news?
Well, wasn't it the same day that Martha's family was in the audience?
Yeah, it was. Her family was there, which I would also like to see, because that's the thing that always bothers me about all this stuff is like, they pick out a suspect and then the people, the family who don't fucking know anything are like, they're a murderer. And then when they find DNA evidence, they're like, nope, he still did it. It's like, Jesus Christ, why can we not just change our minds when the information changes?
Right.
What is it about humans that the minute, once you believe something, no matter how much evidence you see, you do not believe the other thing.
Right.
You ever had a 16-year-old daughter murdered?
Oh, I'm sure it gets very emotional.
No, I'm sure it's emotional. I'm just saying, I can't imagine that. I'm just saying, if you told me that the murderer was one person, there was another show I watched where like they went to murder, somebody went to murder the guy that was supposed to be the killer, a forensic file or something, and then chickened out at the last minute, and then turns out it wasn't that guy. I was like, well, thank God you just murdered this.
Still wrong, but I get why.
Yeah, but this case is so flimsy. I would have loved to see. I think if I was the dad of Martha, I'd be like, guys, are you sure?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I don't think they didn't say anything that like Martha's family was like definitely sure this was the guy.
No, that's what I said. I would have liked to have seen an interview with Martha's family to see if they were like, oh yeah, we didn't think he did it either, or like, nope, we still think he did it, because I'm sure that prosecutor bitch still thinks he did it. She probably still not changed her mind. Like she could watch this documentary, not cry, and be like, "This murder." Even after, anyway, and then they caught the real guys later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And even after that, she probably still doesn't think it was those gangbangers the FBI found. She's like, "Nope, it was my guy with the sketch." I bet.
Right. So after all this, at the end, they show the results of a lawsuit filed against the city of Los Angeles and the police department, which they settled out of court, and Juan received a payment of $320,000. For his wrongful incarceration,
or approximately 160 more Dodgers games, which is
right. And our fat-ass lazy detectives had to admit during that investigation that they were dishonest in their interview with Juan, and that he was never picked out of a photo array or a six-pack, that they made the whole thing up. They circled his photo and signed somebody's name next to it to try to convince him that he needed to confess because there was more evidence against him than what they really had. Tricky move. Not illegal, but bad. Dishonest. Dishonest.
For sure.
So both detectives got kicked out of the homicide unit. Should have been fired, in my opinion. They're so bad. But technically they didn't commit a crime, so they just kicked them out of homicide and gave them shittier detective jobs, which is where fat detectives need to be. I think they were working fraud. It should be full of fat detectives. Nobody wants to work there. And like Bowery said, it turns out they caught the real murderers. It was 4 gangbangers that she had witnessed them murder somebody else and was cooperating with the police in that case. And so that's why they murdered her. So, and they all went to prison for the rest of their lives. So that prosecutor, I hope she feels like dog shit every day. I hope she has no mirrors in her house because she can't
Silverman.
see them.
Beth Silverman.
Beth Silverman.
Fuck her.
Yeah. Fucking God. I mean, what an evil bitch. You know what I mean? Like, literally had no evidence.
Yeah. Well, and it's just one of those. It's that she was undefeated. That's what it comes down to. It's not about fact. A lot of times with prosecutors and even cops, it's just about being right. And what I just don't like. Like I try to there's stuff I believe, but then when I find new evidence of whatever, I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this isn't what I thought it was, right? I mean, even like with COVID and whatever, like what I thought the first 12 weeks is different than what I think now because of things I've seen and things I've experienced and things that I've read about or whatever.
Right.
So it changes. You have to change your mind I just don't like when people lock into something and they will not get off of it no matter what.
It makes you wonder, going back to Bowers' previous point, how many people has she put have gotten the death penalty in cases where she was the prosecutor or got a life in prison for a murder they didn't commit, just because usually her defendants have a court-appointed attorney that doesn't give a fuck and isn't gonna fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
she's
undefeated,
but she's the Dodgers and she's playing the Indianapolis Indians.
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's a AAA team or fucking a single A team usually. Yeah. She's playing a single A baseball team and claiming she's undefeated and she's no, it's because you're playing inferior fucking opponents, motherfucker.
Exactly.
You know?
It's like in wrestling when there's nobody in your weight class. So.
Right. Yeah, you win by forfeit. All right.
Was that a fat joke? Was that a fat joke, Savannah? Because I don't appreciate you calling me fat. Saying there's nobody in my weight class. But
what's your calendar say? What's your weight at?
Today I was 239.0. So down.
Hell yeah, Bowers.
239.0. Where did you start?
258. I gained 38 pounds during COVID, so it's not like I'm just taking off the weight I gained sitting around smoking potty and
Losing the
Cheetos.
COVID weight.
So
all right, I like it.
That's I like that.
We're in a weight loss challenge on the streaming show we do, and if I don't lose 30 pounds by October 2nd, that I have to eat a vegetable on camera. So
gross. You should do Pilates with me.
All right. Well, what's that mean? What is Pilates?
It just
Is that a vegetable?
Work out with me this week.
Oh, it's working out. Okay, I thought it was something else.
He doesn't work out, Savannah. You don't understand. He just starves himself. That's how he loses weight.
Don't eat.
Which is not cool.
Well, whatever works.
No, not whatever works.
Whatever works, man.
We got to go heroes and zeros on this one.
Heroes and zeros.
Savvy thing. Who's your hero? Who's your zero?
My hero is the daughter. That is an extremely traumatic thing to have to do. Watching Juan's face while that was happening was extremely heartbreaking.
Testifying, yeah.
Zero is, oh God. Probably the detectives. I'm gonna have to go with the. I think I hate the detectives more than I hate the woman doing her job. Yeah.
Yeah, they were pieces of shit. I think it's a good pick for zeros. All right, Bowers.
Hero, I'm going Larry David.
Just
because he for being a star and not having enough time, because the production guy was like, we don't show anybody our film before you'd have to wait till the episode comes out,
right?
And the lawyer was like, well, my guys on death row are going to be on death row, so can we not do that? He's like, let me call Larry David, and Larry David was like, yeah, come on down, because they come here today.
He's
when
awesome.
can you be here today? And he's like, yeah, I just showed up, so I give that one. I mean, Todd obviously is the hero of the show, but we usually don't pick the obvious ones, so I'm going to go with Larry David for being a cool star and not and even taking the call and fucking come down here and watch it with it. That was pretty cool. And then my zero, I'm going to go with the prosecutor. I just can't. I just don't like the fact that she wouldn't give up on it, even though she was proven wrong like 4 different times. I'm
going to go. My zero is going to be the prosecutor as well. Even I like that you picked the cops, Savannah. But ultimately, it's her decision whether or not they try to pursue the case or not, right? So she's the decision maker. She's the biggest piece of shit in my mind. And she was so fucking cocky when all this footage of her being interviewed during the investigation, when she thought she had it locked. I mean, just fucking God, go.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have gotten there if the detectives had done any more of their job.
True. They could have went out and done some legwork and said, "Hey, turns out we don't have a case to even submit to you."
Yeah.
But
they're both zeros, and if you put them right next to each other, the girl and the two fat guys probably make 100. That looks like 100.
Right. And I think my hero is going to be, because the one thing that really I think helped him the most, as it turned out, he shouldn't even got that far, but it was the cell phone records. So I'm going to say my hero is O.J. Simpson, because if he hadn't murdered his ex-wife, Melnick would have not even seen the Bronco chase and thought to even pursue that.
How did I not see this coming?
Yeah.
I don't know how you surprised me with this one, but you did.
So thank you, O.J. Simpson.
I did want to tell you guys that I reached out to Juan.
Oh, you did?
I did, and we actually had a very nice conversation.
Oh.
Yeah, I won't go through it all because it's a lot, but I asked him what he believed his reason for being on this earth was, just in general. And there were a couple things that he had talked about, like when he was released, he was flown to New York to do Good Morning America. He did several interviews that day. And one of the things that he remembers, an ex-judge that he was talking to, she said to him, well, it seems like you have some very important things to still do on Earth, Mr. Catalan. And he said he was left speechless with that one. And then he said that somebody came up to him. He was taking Todd to a game to watch the Yankees play. And he said that someone came up to him and started talking to him in Spanish. And I'm not going to read it in Spanish because I will butcher it. But he said that the guy asked him if that was really him on TV. And he said yes. And then the guy replied back to him that God never forgets the good people.
Ooh.
And he said that he was speechless with that again. But yeah, we had a really good conversation. After the trial, he went back and got his GED because he had never finished high school. And then he went to Pierce College and he graduated with his associates in general education. Ooh. And then he is currently on his way to getting his bachelor's in business.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good work there, Savannah.
Well, also, that's the advantage of being an attractive woman, is you can tweet to random people you watch on television, and they will tweet you fucking back. Because I guarantee if me and Ty would have reached out, he would not have responded.
Do you know how many people I've reached out to? Like, I get 1 out of 100 ever answers my DM.
And this is the second one, because she's also now friends with the guy that did the Amazing Jonathan video, documentary that we talked about last week, that she crashed the whole time.
Berman?
He watched it.
Yeah, Ben and I are tight now. So.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, we're good friends.
You're going to rule the world someday, Savannah. I keep telling you that, because holy
Thank
shit.
you.
Yeah.
You guys are welcome to
what
join me.
What a resource.
Did you just call me a resource?
Yeah. You're pretty good. Nobody's going to answer our DMs. This is your mission from now on, is to get inside scoop from everybody. They're all going to answer you. But why don't you hit Larry David, too, while you're at it?
Okay, I'll try.
Find out if he'll... Come on. That would be awesome. So, all right. Well, this has been a good one. We'll hit you up by Thursday, guys, on social media. Look at our social. Just watch our social media. Check out Dockheads at Dockheads. It's at Dockheads Podcast on Instagram. We'll put out a little trailer for the documentary that we're going to cover next week, so that you can watch it in advance. So Savannah's going to make sure that happens. She bitches at us if we don't put them out ahead of time. So
yes.
Yeah. You know what we could do, Todd? This is kind of a crazy idea, and we won't do it now, but like maybe next week we should know what the documentary for the week after is going to be, so then we don't have to do all that. We can just tell them at the end of this doc.
That's the goal. I told Savannah when she got on me about putting the trailer out the last time, I was like, that's how we used to do it in the old days of Dockheads. So we should probably get back to that. Bowers and I procrastinate more than Savannah does, so I'm sure we'll get there. That's going to be our goal for next episode, is to announce at the end of the episode what the next documentary is going to be, because she'll actually sit down and sort through them. Like she obsesses over it, so she goes through figure out
honestly,
by Wednesday.
Todd, I bet if we gave her 2 weeks, we'd have somebody from the doc at an interview on the goddamn show. She'd probably just set it up and we could have them on if we gave her 2 weeks. So we'll try to figure that out. We'll try to figure that out.
I don't like all this pressure.
Why don't your charm's not going to work on Joe Exotic, unfortunately, Savannah. But I bet you can get the warden to give us access to Joe. We could have him on exclusive.
I don't like you questioning how my charm works and does not work.
I'm just saying.
I feel like I'm extremely charming, and that's it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I think I have a better shot. At charming Joe.
I don't know that. Well, yeah, maybe.
I mean, you'd have to offer more, Todd. That's for sure.
Right.
It's not like Savannah's just like, hey, how are you? And they're like, hey, how are you? Or you'd be like, I'll suck your dick if you come on my show.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see what Savannah picks for the documentary for next week. I'm sure it's based off how hot the guy who made it is. We'll see. Until next week, we are out.
See ya.